Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ranking Nintendo here on Boston Network. I'm your host and licensed excited Eddie Reed. Joining me is the one, the only Boston himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, there, sir.
Hello, I'm ready to flip the screen on its head and do math problems.
Wow. And we got our awesome author herself, Mrs. Stephanie Klimov. Hello.
Hello, I'm excited to talk about my my second beloved handheld that I've ever
owned. Ooh, yes.
So I'm really excited to hear about what you guys have to say about the DS, because as much as I like the DS, I was not playing a lot of handheld games at this time. So this is like the DS, kind of like the GBA, is kind of like it's kind of like a wasteland for me. Like I played Phantom Hourglass, I played Spirit Tracks, and I played Mario Kart DS and a couple other things, but the DS wasn't really my thing at the time. So I'm really excited to talk about the DS because it's just kind of like a blank space for me.
Well, before we get into it, Corey, we have some Patreon producers to shout out.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Okay, yeah, so if you want to support us directly, and by us, I mean the Boss Rush Network, you can head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. It is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly. For us, we offer two monthly tiers, the $1 tier, which grants you early access to 5 different shows, including this one. But also, we have a $5 tier, which grants you early access, plus grants you a Patreon producer credit. What does that mean? It means we shot your name out here on this here program right now as a Patreon producer. So without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode of Standard Definition Ranking Nintendo DS Edition are Adriel Munger, Celeste Roberts, my wife, Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Rebecca Jewell, and Prince Unsmooth Toes. I want to thank everybody for supporting us over on Patreon. I want to thank our Patreon producers, all of our patrons, and all of our free listeners. Remember, all of our content remains free. We just grant you a few extra perks for supporting us directly. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star rating and a nice review. It really helps us out. If you are listening to this on the Nintendo PAL Block podcast feed, remember, if you go over to Standard Definition's podcast feed, you get this a month early. So, just if you're interested, there might be more episodes waiting for you. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, back to you, Ed.
Yes. Well, we're going to get into some hardware facts about the Nintendo DS. The DS can stand for Developer System or Dual Screen. They added 3 more versions to the line: the DS Lite, the DSi, and the DSi XL. In China, it's known as the iQ DS, and it was released in America on November 21st, 2004, Japan on December 2nd, 2004, Australia on February 24th, 2005, and in Europe on March 11th, 2005. It contains touch functionality on the bottom screen. It has sold 150. 4.3 systems. Priced at one. What happened?
You just cut out a little bit. It's fine. Just repeat that last minute.
Okay, so it has touch functionality on the bottom screen. It sold 154 2 million systems. It was priced at $149.99. It was able to play GBA games in the DS and DS Lite only. They remodeled the DS for the DS Lite for a chic and smoother look, and it have Wi-Fi connection, download, play, and pixel chat with it.
Neat.
Corey, I'm gonna start with you. with this.
Yes.
Did you get a DS?
Yeah, I have.
The first one.
Oh, I did not get a fat. I was very anti-fat at the time, but also like the DS came out at a time where I was like in college and super poor, and was in my dorm room playing GameCube and Kingdom Hearts probably. So like I wasn't really handheld gaming at the time. But I got the DS Lite when it came out. I got the white one because white was in at the time. All of Apple's products were white. Nintendo was moving in that direction. Obviously, we see the Wii being white was like a huge thing for them. So the DS Lite was a sexy little console, right? The flip screen, because like let's be honest, the DS Fat was an ugly console. That thing is ugly. It didn't even fold correctly. That's how ugly it was. And then the DS Lite came out and had that. It was cute. It was sleek. It still played the Game Boy Advance games, which was awesome. And like, I still think the DS Lite is probably the definitive version of that console, even though we got the DSi afterwards, right? Because the DSi didn't play Game Boy Advance games, and that really sucked. And I got one. I got a DSi because I thought, well, I could probably use an upgrade to this console. Plus, it comes in blue, so I had to get it. And there's no Game Boy Advance slot on there. I was like, there's no, why? And so that was a big disappointment. Also, I wasn't really paying attention to games as much as I do now or before college. Everybody goes through that kind of gaming slump where they're just too busy or too poor to pay attention to video games. So, but yeah, the DS, I played I played a lot of DS, but it was only like a handful of games, if that makes sense. So also like Brain Age was like a huge deal, and I played a lot of Brain Age actually. And it was pretty it was really strange how into Brain Age I was, I feel like. It's a very special game though.
Okay. Stephanie, what's your first encounter with the DS?
So does the 2DS count?
Yes.
Wait. We're talking about it like all together. So yeah, okay. So
wait, hold on. Like the 3DS, 2DS?
No, just the Nintendo 2DS.
Like.
So you're talking about the DSi?
It's a non-foldable. It's just.
Oh, like the
wedge.
Like the wedge, the 3DS
like
without the 3D.
Yes.
That does not count. That's a 3DS.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
No, so we're having that as a separate discussion.
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
Okay, well then I have absolutely zero experience with this particular one. I lied at the beginning of the show. I thought it was going to count that.
Did you play the DS games on the 3DS or 2DS?
I think most of the games that I've played were like 3DS games. Did you say Phantom Hourglass was?
It's a regular DS game. Yeah,
it's a DS game.
All right, so there, I played Phantom Hourglass.
We all know how great Nintendo is with naming conventions. Everybody, especially in this era, it's awesome.
I know. I'm looking to see. I did play a little bit of Brain Age. I'm looking at the rest of this. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I think it's just that and Phantom Hourglass, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I brought the fat DS. And I had my blue one. It's the royal blue that I got, and I brought Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow for it. Was my first game. And then the black one came out, and I was just like, oh, this is beautiful. So this was my first time double dipping in consoles, in a sense. So I bought the DS Lite. for it, and I played a lot of my games for it. I didn't get the I didn't get the IXL because I had those two systems for my Game Boy Advance games and everything. Uh, as we move along, I did get one of these accessories that I will talk a little bit later about. Um, so for the quickly, the accessories was the Rock Band controller handle, the Poke Walker I used to walk around with that. The Wi-Fi USB connector I had, and this was a way to play online with your DS around the world. So I had a tower PC, and I would plug it in, connect my DS to it, and play people in Pokemon for it around the world. Uh, the GBA DS connectivity so that you can play and trade uh, with your GBA and your DS. And I kind of found this one interesting. So I put on here the Digit Glucose System. This was a blood glucose meter that was an option pack developed by Bayer Healthcare together with Paul Russell, the father of a child with diabetes. This is essentially an upgraded version of the Glucose Boy for the Game Boy Advance, which Russell developed for his son Luke, who often lost his blood glucose meter. Wessel later found his own company, Guidance Interactive Healthcare, to pursue the creation of children's blood glucose meters. The peripheral came with a packing game entitled Knock 'em Down World's Fair, developed by Sensory Sweep Studios, which is a series of mini games where players are rewarded with bonuses and power ups should they regularly check their blood sugar levels. That is something I've never known that that they made it for it, because if you think of the Wii, Iwata presented the relaxer where you put your finger in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was weird. The heart monitor thing that you just
but
kind
it
of
never came out.
it never came out. Gross.
Yeah,
But I still think it's
yeah.
very interesting.
It was a help. Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie.
Oh no, I was just that's something I never knew about, and being in healthcare, my mind's blown right now. I'm like, what? This was a thing?
Yeah, Nintendo had this
Yeah,
really interesting like health initiative, which I mean we still kind of see it with like obviously like the Wii balance board and some of the stuff that came to the Wii U, and now the Switch has like fitness boxing and Ring Fit Adventure and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the time they were like really thinking about making accessories for like the medical field. They had a heart monitor, they had a heart pace machine type thing that never came out. It was wild. Like Nintendo had a lot of crazy things in development. They even had that weird thing on the Wii remote, like that was supposed to come out for the Wii remote. That like, it's almost like it was like this wrist strap that plugged into the bottom that like kept your heart rate while you're playing exercise games. It's crazy.
yeah. I forgot to add the solar sensor because of Lunar Nights. Lunar Nights added solar sensor functionality by utilizing the 3 Bucktie games in slot 2 as option packs. Each game offers a different function in relation to the energy taken from the sun. Depending on which game is introduced into the W gate, the solar system will cause different effects in lunar nights. So, solar version 1, by inserting Bucktie, the sun is in your hands in the GBA slot. The standby character will feel his his ENE, which stands for energy. The solar system version 2, by inserting Boktai 2's Solar Boy the Django in the GBA slot, the standby character will feel his life. Solar System version 3, by inserting Shin Bokurai no Tayu Gyakushu no Sabata in the GBA slot, Japan only, the standby character will feel his TRC or his transmitter. So I completely forgot about that, the solar system, um, for it. So the launch games for America for the DS was Asphalt Urban, Field of Magic XYXX. This was Sega. This was a girlfriend simulator.
Oh
Madden
boy.
NFL 2005, Mr. Driller Drill Spirits, Ping Pals, Rayman DS, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario 64 DS, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005, and The Herbs Sim in the City. Now, Super Mario 64 DS did have touch functionality, and I think they also had this rubber thing that you put on your finger in order to also control Mario with it.
Yeah, later versions of this game actually came with the thumb thing because you had to control Mario with the touchpad, and that was, let's be honest, not the best way to control, a precise precision platformer. So yeah, interesting. Although that game works way better on the 3DS because it has the circle pad and you can use that. So
Yes. So let's jump into some noticeable games, and if you guys want to stop, ask questions, or if you have any memories, we'll go from there. And there was Mario Kart DS, New
yes,
Super Mario
stop.
Brothers.
Both of those games, Mario Kart DS, the best Mario Kart,
Really?
the best Mario Kart until 8, of course. But seriously, if you have not played Mario Kart DS, find a copy, play it. You can also play it with friends without them owning the cartridge, which was another great feature of the DS, the remote download play. Granted, they all had to be Shy Guy, but like you could play the entire game with friends, and it was awesome. Played a lot of Mario Kart DS, a lot of Mario Kart DS. Game was fantastic, best courses by far.
So Mario Kart DS was my first gamer meetup. Uh, that was in Chicago. I met a lot of people that I'm still friends with today, and uh, my one friend, he's so good at Mario Kart, and we still friends and everything. And we played this game for a good hour. He was beating me, and it was such a joy and laughter because this was my this was like wireless gameplay for me with Mario Kart DS. Um, and so I definitely enjoyed this game. Now, New Super Mario Brothers. This game was a big seller
Yeah,
on DS.
yeah. With I mean, with every right? Like that game had a lot of nostalgia feelings hitting it, right? Like it was the first 2D Mario game we had gotten since Super Mario World at that time, and so like the fact that
Mm-hmm.
we were getting a new 2D Mario with these awesome, quote unquote modern graphics, and like the level design was like the new Super Mario Brothers games. I think people look at them fondly, but back then, like that game was awesome. And then we got a Wii one, and then we got new Super Mario Brothers 2 and the Wii U game all within like a 5-year span or a 6-year span. And people,
Mm-hmm.
I think until recently, people were just burned out on 2D Mario, those new Super Mario Brothers games, because there were so many of them coming out at once. But like that first one, and even the one on the Wii, right? Because like the Wii one had multiplayer, and that was a big deal.
Yeah, that was so like crazy. If you had a
Mm-hmm.
Wii, that game was the attach rate. That was
Yeah.
the Breath of the Wild for the Wii,
Mhm.
outside of Wii Sports. Um, it sold over 30 million copies worldwide. And it was considered as the best-selling game for the Nintendo DS and one of the best-selling video games of all time.
Yeah.
But now we have Mario Kart 8 and Animal Crossing has beat it
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, new Super Mario Brothers is also like if you have a 3DS and you want a great, and I know that the 3DS has new Super Mario Brothers 2. It's not nearly as good It's still fun, but it's not nearly as good as New Super Mario Brothers. If you find a copy of that game, please play it. It has some of the best 2D Mario's level design I've ever played. I think New Super Mario Brothers for DS is better than Super Mario World, in my opinion, in terms of level design. It's so awesome. I mean, and without bias, like it might be better than Super Mario Brothers 3, but nothing's going to beat Super Mario Brothers 3 for me in terms of favorite 2D Mario games, but like it might be better. And I think the Wii U game actually comes really close too. I think the Wii U game is and it's on Switch now, so you can play it there too. But I think the Wii U New Super Mario Brothers game is probably the best modern 2D Mario game, in my opinion. Not that I'm like the resident Mario guy here, but you know.
Right. Have you seen it, Stephanie, New Super Mario Brothers, or Mario Kart DS? Like just seeing it, have you seen them?
Oh yeah, I've seen them, and I recognize some of the courses. When they make their return on Deluxe. Like I think the next Wave 3 is going to have a track from the DS. So I'm able to experience it through there, and I'm still trying to figure out now, like Googling heavily while you guys are talking, if this was the Mario game that I played on my 2DS or not. I'm trying to, and I sold the cartridge, so I don't know if I have it.
Well, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ed.
Oh, so there, the second one is it looks very golden because it was all about getting those cold coins and everything. But if it's not those two, it was Super Mario 3D Land on the 2DS/3D. Okay, so then if it was the 2D, it would have been New Super Mario Brothers or New Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah. I think you would know the difference. Like, were there an overwhelming amount of coins, or did it seem like a normal Mario game?
Seemed like a normal Mario game.
Because New Super Mario Brothers 2, there's literally coins everywhere to the point where it's almost obnoxious and you can't really see where you're going.
Oh, okay, no. Then I actually did play it. I bought it used at GameStop in a little
one of those little plastic drug bags.
Yes. And thanks for clarifying that, because that actually was really, really a lot of fun. I don't think I've had that much fun in a 2D Mario in many years.
So I've never played it on the DS.
You're Mr. Mario. What are you talking about?
I just didn't play it. A lot of people I was at Toys R Us and I was selling the game, but
You're a disgrace.
Just didn't.
Out.
I didn't play it. Now, Super Mario Brothers Wii, I played fully. That's the game my mom on the Wii. She bought a Wii just to play New Super Mario Brothers Wii and Animal Crossing later on, and she got 100% on all saves on that game.
The game's hard. 100%ing New Super Mario Brothers was incredibly difficult, but also incredibly rewarding.
It's pretty easy for me.
Well, Ed, when you go and finally play it, you let us know, okay? Mr. Mario.
There's a Vest Wars Days of Ruin and Dual Strike, Alien Infestation, Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney, Blue Dragon Plus, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, Order of Ecclesia, Portrait of Ruin, all 3 games that I own. Chrono Trigger. Now, Chrono Trigger is big on DS because I got this at Toys R Us, but it was the PlayStation version of it that they put on cartridge. So you had the regular game, but you also had the cutscenes that they added on,
and not those awful PlayStation load times.
No, oh heck no.
A lot of people say that this is the definitive version of Chrono Trigger, even like today with like the PC version and the mobile versions and stuff. Like, this is definitely the definitive version to play Chrono Trigger. I've never played Chrono Trigger. I can't tell you, but a lot of people have said that this is the definitive one.
Did you buy it on Wii?
I don't.
The 16.
No, I don't. I don't have Chrono Trigger. I've never played it.
Oh, okay. I thought you would have bought it through the Wii shop on Wii, because the regular Chrono
I mean,
Trigger
I
came there
probably
for
did
PS5.
because I bought hundreds of games on the Wii Virtual Console that I never even touched, but I just wanted to have them because it was cool to have a box to play retro games on. Apparently, you know,
Yeah.
who'd have thought? Uh, but Ed, you skipped over, or you didn't really skip over, but we have like I don't think a lot of people know that like Ace Attorney was like a huge deal on the DS.
Yes.
And I mean, I didn't play
Yes.
it, but I know like if we don't at least acknowledge Ace Attorney, someone's going to be upset.
Yeah. So I play all uh, the Phoenix Wrights game on the DS, because we never got it on Game Boy. So just to let everybody know that when Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney came out, the original first game here in America, no one bought it. So GameStop put through it in a bargain bin for $20. I don't know what happened, but the day that I bought that game, the series started disappearing because people started buying it and it started becoming popular. Um, so there was the three games and it wrapped up. So when Apollo Justice Ace Attorney came, you kind of realized that they were adding new gameplay mechanics because you had to touch stuff um, with it, and you could use those touch things to help you find clues, move to different areas. And Phoenix Wright, he had stopped doing law, but he had a daughter that he was raising along with Apollo Justice. Like he was kind of a mentor and everything. And so that it's a big story. You really have to play that game to understand. And I think they did 3 games with Apollo Justice, or 3 or 2, but they did the first Apollo Justice uh, on the DS, and then they continue more of it on the DS on 3DS.
There are a lot of Ace
Uh,
Attorney games. And also the crossover with Professor Layton was also something that I didn't know anybody needed, but we got it.
yes, and that was on 3DS, and we'll get to Professor Layton on DS because that was when Level 5 was in their bag. And that's why a lot of people who are confused on why Level 5 don't bring their games out here to the West no more. People in the West were buying Level 5 games, but definitely the Professor Layton game on the DS and 3DS. Um, let's see. Contact, which was an Atlas game, RPG kind of roguelike in a little bit. Cookie Mama was big. Cookie Mama at 1999 saved Majesco.
Oh my gosh, that game was huge. Cooking Mama was, I mean, I know that
Yeah.
that franchise had like a weird controversy a couple years ago on the Switch and the PS4 version, but like Cooking Mama
Yeah.
at this time was like the biggest thing since like sliced bread. It was hilarious how big Cooking Mama was on this console.
I heard a lot
Majesco.
about it, but I
Okay.
never got a chance to experience it.
Yeah. I never played it either,
Yeah.
but like it was like
Everywhere.
you couldn't go 10 feet without somebody like talking about Cooking Mama for like 6
Yeah.
months. It was
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah. Majesco had released some kind of big game, and it was close to taking the company. So they released Cookie Mama at $20, and that game sold a lot of copies to the point that it put Majesco back in the black and keep their company open. So that's why you started seeing a lot of more of the Cookie Mama games. Like Cookie Mama at the time became the Mario Brothers for Majesco. Like it was a hot property and everything. My niece actually, I think it was Cookie Mama for Wii, and it came with a dial of the Cookie Mama that you could use to actually play that game. My niece had it. It's very interesting. Um, Contra 4, which was by Way Forward, it used to do a screen. This one actually, not only did you jump, but you had a grappling hook too, also, and it was hard as ever. It really is. Brain Age 1 and Brain Age 2. How big was this game
Yeah, I mean,
at $20? Like,
Brain Age was the game that sold this to everybody's mom. Like,
Yeah.
Brain Age was like,
mhm.
it was that because the first, I can't remember if it was the first game or the second game, or maybe it was both, but they both also came with the suite of Sudoku puzzles that people loved.
Yeah,
And
it was both.
yeah, and like I remember like my one friend, who I'm still friends with to this day. I went over to his house. We were gonna play something. I don't remember. Probably like, I don't know, some other video game. And like I walked in to his house and his mom was sitting on the couch playing Brain Age on a DS. I was like, and like I wasn't really paying attention at first, and she was like showing me, and I'm like, you're playing you're playing a DS. I'm really confused right now. What's going on? But like then you just started seeing people playing stuff like this, and then Nintendogs and a bunch of crossword and Sudoku $10 games started coming out, and everybody was playing these games on DS. This was like, also you got to remember, like, this was pre everybody had an iPhone days, right? Like this was like the birth of the iPhone had just happened, and only successful businessmen could afford one. And like this was the way people got casual games first, was this system. And Brain Age led the way with Nintendogs, and there was one other one that was pretty popular. I don't really remember what it was, but there was one other one that was like super popular, and they led the way for this. And it got a whole new group of people into gaming.
If you looked at Japan, all you saw was DS on the train, at restaurants. It literally was the system that people were carrying and everything, because it was at this time PSP was out, and it was believed that PSP was going to outsell Nintendo, and this would be the end of Nintendo's handheld series.
Right, because the PSP was like
handheld line.
The PSP was like the console gaming on the go. That's what they promised, right? They showed off God of War, they showed off Final Fantasy, they showed Kingdom Hearts. Like, it was console gaming on the go. Which, granted, the PSP had some great games, right? Those God of War games are really good, and it got the definitive version of Final Fantasy Tactics with the War of the Lions, which was also very good. Birth by Sleep ended up being one of the better Kingdom Hearts spinoffs, which is actually like really crucial to that storyline. So like a lot of people were excited for PSP, and the DS, man, the DS was what, $50 cheaper, I think, at least, and had all these games that were $20 cheaper than, because remember, DS games were only $30 when they came out.
Yeah.
And PSP games were $50, which was a bit, and like DS didn't require a memory card. The PSP required a Sony proprietary Memory Stick Pro Duo. And like just all these things. It's you look, and the only just the one reason why the PSP sold so well was because it was easy to mod, and a lot of people bought it to mod and put emulators on and play retro games on it that way, right? And
right, because they show one guy showed Miyamoto that the PSP was showed them the PSP that was modded, and it was showing it running Super Mario Brothers. Like, he doing an interview with Miyamoto, and showed him that I'm playing your game on this system, and Miyamoto didn't know nothing about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nintendo was so closed off at that time too.
Yeah. And I think it's by the time when the DS Lite came out, sales for the system jumped. So a lot of games that people missed, it started catching on.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, it's weird because there's like a small delay on my end. So like every time I think you're done talking, I start talking and then you start again. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, like the DS Fat was like an interesting console, and like people were playing Brain Age and stuff. But like, I can't tell you how many people I knew traded in their DS Fats for a DS Lite. Like the moment that console was announced.
Yeah.
And like it came in really distinctive colors too, right? There was the white one, which everybody wanted. Then there was a black one, which was really cool. But then they also had like that pearl pink color that I knew a lot of girls wanted. That pearl pink one that I knew.
Yeah.
And they had that aquamarine blue, and then they had a navy blue. They had a bunch of cool colors, and then they just kept coming out with colors, crazy colors that people, I gotta get that one. Gotta get that one. Gotta get the Zelda one. Gotta get the, this one Miyamoto wiped his butt with. Gotta get that one. Like, I mean, DS was everywhere. And then, yeah, it's just, oh, man.
The Brain Age sold 19.1 million copies worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and at $20.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're thinking Nintendo is going to get out the hardware business or the GameCube was going to crash it, man, they were making buku bucks with the
out of the water.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like, I think at this time when people were talking about Nintendo should go third party, I think a lot of people assumed at some level, if Nintendo did decide to go third party, that like they would still have a dedicated handheld to play games on, right? Because that was, I mean, look at the Switch. It's still their bread and butter, whether you want to admit it or not. Like, the Switch is a great handheld console, and a lot of people still play the Switch in that way, I think the crazy stat was like 73% of people play the Switch handheld mode more, and like something ridiculous. People who have like a regular Switch or an OLED Switch, something like 30% of the people have never plugged it into the dock. 30%. So like, Nintendo will always own the handheld market, and so I don't know, man. The DS started. I think the DS started that craze, right? I mean, the Game Boy Advance was great, but like the DS was like, that thing was everywhere. And like, even if you didn't play a lot of the DS, which, granted, I didn't play a lot of the DS library, you can't deny the importance of this console and how important this was to the success of a new era of Nintendo, and changed the way people thought of Nintendo.
Yeah. Brain Age 2 sold 14.88 million around worldwide. So it only missed out on 5 million, which is still good for a sequel to a new IP.
Yeah, but I mean, how many more math problems can they change? I mean, to be fair, did we really need a sequel to Brain Age? That said, Big Brain versus Brain just came out, and we're still buying Brain Age games. So what do I know?
Yes. We have Drawn to Life, my favorite DS game, Elite Beat Agents.
Oh, gross.
I talked about it. Everybody's Elite Black Agent on Power Block. I can move on.
I was gonna say, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 3 and 4, which was the actual 3 and the actual 4 that was remade, because they never came to America. So because Final Fantasy 3 at the time of the Super Nintendo was actually Final Fantasy 6. So that was on DS. Fossil Fighters, Grand Theft Auto, Chinatown Wars.
Yeah, getting a Grand Theft Auto game on DS was a big deal.
Yes.
Chinatown Wars was like a really big deal when it came out.
Yes. My second favorite all-time game, Hotel Dusk Room 215. Oh, love that mystery. Love everything about that game. It was just so cool. It was one of the games that you could start playing as a book, in a sense. Because that was one of the functionalities. You get to turn it vertical, play it as a book, close it, blow into it. You used to do different things with the games on the DS. There was Kirby Mass Attack, Superstar Ultra, Squeak Squad, and Canvas Curse. The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass Spirit Tracks. Stephanie, what did you think of Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks if you played them?
So I haven't played Spirit Tracks, but I played Phantom Hourglass, and it was it was different. Not the biggest fan of the art style, but I was curious because I had missed Wind Waker, but I know this was like the sequel to Wind Waker, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not the DS Zelda games. I don't think were like the best Zelda games, but Phantom Hourglass is near and dear to me because I like Linebeck. He's just such a funny character, and I love his theme. His musical theme is great. And I honestly didn't mind using the stylus. Like for me, when you have to like trace and draw like where you want your boat to go, or if you're throwing the boomerang, where to put the boomerang on. I really like it. I almost felt like a cool business person who has a stylus like writing on their phone. I thought it was different. I thought it was innovative. I understand it's not the most popular thing and not a lot of people liked it, but I really enjoyed it. I think there's part of the game too where you have to actually blow into the microphone.
Yeah, there were a lot of DS games like that.
Yeah.
That I could take it or leave it. I mean, again, it's just something that I credit Nintendo for being kind of creative with their hardware, I guess.
Yeah, try blowing on your DS when you're on an airplane. That's weird.
Ooh.
With Phoenix Wright, you used to for some of the parts you used to put like some powder on it to find handprints, and then you would blow into it to get the access dust off, and it would give it to you. Corey, did you have anything to say? Or...
I mean, I thought those games were pretty weird, to be honest with you. They're not really anywhere near the top of my favorite Zelda games. They were fine. They were fun, right? I also like how you had to like close the DS sometimes to like solve puzzles and flip the map over and whatever. Like that was a really interesting mechanic. Phantom Hourglass is definitely better than Spirit Tracks, although I do kind of like the train in a weird way. Not like to play the game again, but like I like the design of the train and just like the aspect like, oh, you gotta drive a train around to get around this Hyrule, because you know when did you ever see another train in Hyrule? I think that would be, by the way, in the new Zelda game, if there's a train in there that you can somehow ride and it looks like the Spirit Tracks train, I'm gonna be super excited. So just throwing that out there.
I'm going to buy it day one. I'm going to pre-order it while the Nintendo Direct is happening.
I would actually like.
I love train.
I would actually really like a nice collectible of the train, even though I don't really care for that game at all.
Can I get a train dock? Like if the dock was designed as a train.
Oh man, that'd be cool. But I mean, other than that, like these aren't the best Zelda games. Also, I have to say that I played Spirit Tracks on the Wii U because it was available on the Virtual Console. So,
well, we have, like I said earlier, Lunar Nights, Mario and Luigi's Bowser Inside Story. Oh, this game is everything. Not only is it funny as all, but it switches up different gameplays, and you actually get to control Bowser. I used to love seeing the big Goombas. They would hold these big lollipops, and you could suck in the lollipops to get extra health for your. And then they were because you took out their lollipops, they would run away with big tears, crying. It was so animated, but the game is so good, and you would switch between Bowser and Mario and Luigi, because while you was in the body of Bowser with Mario and Luigi, you were doing boss battles and solving puzzles, so you can help Bowser fight more. And so it was also puzzles that, as Bowser, you could walk up to a fountain that's pouring out water, drink the water, and it would help raise Mario to and Luigi to swim or get to another platform and everything. So you was going back and forth solving puzzles. and everything, and helping each other. And Bowser didn't know that Mario and Luigi was in them, but Mario and Luigi knew that they was in them. So as much stuff that was making Bowser sick, the Mario Brothers was helping them to feel better and everything. And it's, like I said, it's such a great game. I love it. There's also partners in time, Metro Prime Hunters and Prime Pinball, and Plus.
Oh yeah, N Plus was.
N Plus is so it was low key a hit with N Plus.
Yeah, N Plus is an incredible experience. Although, like, I'm not sure the DS was the best place to play that game, but N Plus is just plus the DS version had exclusive levels on it too. If you don't know what it is, it's like this really hardcore, straight up platformer where you have to like make precision jumps and dodge things and stuff. There's no fighting, there's no attacking anything. It's just a straight up platformer. And it's incredibly difficult, especially if you're trying to get all the gold squares, right? And they incentivize you to get the gold squares because every time you get one, that adds time to your timer. And then throughout the world that you're going, like, it extends your timer. But if your timer runs out, you die, and then you have to start over. The weird thing about the DS version is that one screen was super zoomed in, and the other screen was the entire map that you were playing on. And so it was kind of confusing a little bit to look back and forth. Plus, like, the screens on the DS were really small. And then the game ended up coming to Xbox Live Arcade, and that's where I played most of it. But this game, incredible platformer. And then the sequel came out.
Yeah, because I think the series started on DS, right?
No, the series started as N was a PC Flash game, and you could play it for free.
Okay.
And then N Plus, they kind of retooled it, and it started on DS and PSP, and then it made its way to Xbox Live Arcade.
Okay.
And presumably PlayStation Network. But I played. I was going to say I played on Xbox Live Arcade, and it was one of the first games I got all the achievements in.
So Nintendo. Anybody on that game?
Beyonce liked it. Or Nintendo paid her to like it.
Oh, that is true.
Something tells me it might have been the latter.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. All versions of Nintendo sold a combined of 23.96 million copies.
Yeah. It was a hit.
Yeah. I've never played it. I've seen kids come into my store to buy it, and I sold it to them.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Phoenix Wright, like I said, 1 to 3. Pokemon Black 1 to 2, and Pokemon White 1 to 2. Conquest, Diamond and Pearl, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and there's some other Pokemon that was on there. The Professor Layton series, Rhythm Heaven, Sonic Colors and Rush, Super Princess Peach, Touch Detective, WarioWare, and Yoshi's Island DS. What's the BioWare Sonic game on DS too?
Mm-hmm. Sonic Dark Brotherhood. That was a weird one. A turn-based Sonic RPG, because that's what I want to do when I play a Sonic, is stop and wait to take turns.
Right?
But don't forget, this is when BioWare was in they bag. That BioWare was like top tier because of the massive.
I know. I've heard it's actually really, really good. I just it's a Sonic RPG. So.
And this is the only game that's BioWare game that's on. No, Mass Effect 3 was on Wii U. So there's 2 BioWare games that's on the Nintendo platform.
By the way, can we skipped over Pokemon Conquest? Can we talk about that for a minute? This weird.
I think we were talking about it before, Corey, on the Expansion Pass.
We did, but I still want to talk about it because
Go ahead.
somebody might not have heard it or haven't gone back to listen to it. So it's Pokemon Cross Nobunaga's Ambition. And like Nobunaga's Ambition is like a really historical strategy game, and they did a crossover with Pokemon, and like each of the leaders had their own Pokemon, and you kind of like collected these leaders and Pokemon to. It was a hardcore strategy tactics game. Very cool, and it came at the tail end of the DS's life, but like man, this game was really hardcore, really difficult. Koei Tecmo actually developed this game, and I highly recommended. Play if you are into tactics games at all. If you like Fire Emblem
Mhm.
and you want a super challenging version of a tactics game, this game, please play it. Actually, I think it's probably more like
I,
Final Fantasy Tactics, but still,
I do like the the box cover for it.
yeah. But yeah, it. I mean, at the time, I was not really that into Pokemon, but this game, I
Mhm.
bought this game because I liked the GameCube Fire Emblem game, and man, this game was incredible.
Yeah. So that's just some games. Uh, so I think it's time for us to rank the DS. Um, I'm going to start with you, Corey. Where would you, well, before we get into that, where are we at in the rankings
Hmm.
Yeah,
for Nintendo
hold on,
hardware?
I'm gonna get there in a second. I'm trying to see if there's any other like major DS games that were. I mean, there were some really important Kingdom Hearts spinoffs on the
Mm.
DS and later the 3DS. The Mario and Luigi games, I know we talked about Bowser's Inside Story, but those games are incredibly underrated still. I think those are some really great RPGs that if you liked Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo and you miss those games, you should probably check out Mario and Luigi if you can. Kirby and
Oh,
the
and
Kirby.
just to let before you go, Corey, just to let everybody know, there was over 3,000 games for the DS.
Yeah,
It's bonkers
and that's
on
like
how many games we've done.
and that's with like no eShop yet.
Yep.
So,
Ooh.
Kirby and the Canvas Curse, which is an incredible like stylus-based platformer. The everybody knows how much I love Kirby, right? But this game, legitimate Kirby game. Please play it. It's so fun, and they made a pseudo sequel on the Wii U called Rainbow Curse, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse,
Oh,
which is
that game
essentially the
looks
same.
beautiful.
Yeah. Play those games. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon also. I think it's like a remake of the first game, if I'm not mistaken. That game's pretty good as well.
So, was that was the old school kind of
Mhm.
Fire Emblem, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have that one. What was it? A gold box with blue writing on it?
Yep.
Yes, I do have that one.
Yeah. It is a remake of the very first game, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. That game is incredibly difficult.
And that's the one that came to Wii last year. I mean, Switch. I think a year and a half ago, wasn't it?
The Famicom version of this game did. This game did not.
Okay.
We already talked about the Final Fantasy kind of re-releases, which kind of started this whole kind of what you would think of Bravely Default 2. It kind of runs in that kind of family of games. So yeah, just a couple other shout outs. Also, I played a lot of Plants vs. Zombies on the DS because Plants vs. Zombies is an incredible game and highly recommended. But of course, you can play that on your phone now. So, yeah, that's kind of it, I guess. So, yes, right now our rankings are as follows. Did I skip out it? Oh my gosh. It's this Discord. I'm going to punch it in the face. Our rankings right now are as follows. GameCube, N64, Game Boy, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, and NES, 1 through 6. The DS is an incredibly important console. I don't think it's as good as the GameCube or the N64, but in terms of library, but in terms of importance and how many people got into gaming, I think we do need to heavily consider that, because it did a lot of things that game companies weren't doing at the time. I mean, for me, I would put it right under the Nintendo 64 in terms of favorites, but if we're considering what it did for the video game industry, I would put it above the N64 and under the GameCube.
All right, Stephanie.
I mean, I'm thinking forward and thinking of the 2 and 3DS. So, in my opinion, I'd probably put it right under the N64, but I'm flexible since, clearly I haven't had as much experience with this particular model.
Funny thing, Stephanie, I was going to put the DS at 3.
Yeah.
All right, then let's put it at 3, right under the N64. I'm totally okay with that, because that, in my heart, that's where I would put it. So right now, with that ranking, our current ranking is as follows. Number 1, the GameCube. Number 2, the Nintendo 64. Number 3, the DS. Number 4, the Game Boy. Number 5, the Super Nintendo. Number 6, the Game Boy Advance. And number 7 is the NES. Womp womp.
Aw, poor NES.
It's fine. I think you can tell which generation we are all kind of gravitating towards, though, with this ranking. But I mean, yeah, I really like this ranking right now. This is great. I love ranking Nintendo.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and even if there are certain ones that I myself had not had a lot of experience on, I got to learn a lot about it, have a good discussion over it, so it's awesome.
And that's the point, is to learn and have fun. That's what I tell my daughter at school.
Except
well, everybody.
School. Sorry.
Well, everybody, we have 4 more systems. We have the Wii, the 3DS/2DS/3DS XL, the 2D XL.
Oh no! Stop it.
We have the Wii. We have the Wii U, and we have the Nintendo Switch. But Wii is our next system.
Oh man, I'm actually excited to talk about the Wii, because I have a lot of great memories with the Wii, but I think everybody knows how I feel about motion controls at this point and how much I did not care for the motion controls. So this is going to be interesting.
We will get into it. Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am Corey and HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Powblock, on Boss Rush Podcast, and various other things here on the Boss Rush Network.
Stephanie, where can we find you?
I'm going to send you guys a meme that has to do with all a pun on all this stuff that I don't know why I'm describing it now. Anyway, it's late. People can find me on the internet, on Twitter and Instagram at Klimov_author, regularly on Wednesday nights on Boss Rush Podcasts and other various podcasts like After Dark, and on the website, bossrush.net.
You guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at that retro code. Check me out on Nintendo Powblock, Expansion Pass, Ranking Nintendo, Student Definition for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Talk the Walk, my writings on bossrush.net, and you can check out more shows on Boss Rush on our YouTube page, Boss Rush Network. And if you guys want to get earlier content and or just support us, you can become a Patreon producer or help us support us just with $1. And you go to bossrush.net to find out more details on how you get support us. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, whenever you hear this. And we will see you next time, Ranking Nintendo, where we'll be talking about the Nintendo Wii. With that, everybody, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
We would like to play.